Yeah, just okay.
Oh, hi, and here is
Hello.
Mr. Usman Khan. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me. It's good to be on the podcast. I appreciate I've seen some of the work you've done, working with, victims of trauma, and um I'm glad, thank you for reaching out.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's an absolute honor. So, for those of you who don't know Usman's a talented actor, filmmaker, and storyteller who has a deep passion for bringing emotionally charged, thought-provoking narratives to life. With a background rooted in the arts, Usman has pursued his creative vision through acting and filmmaking, delving into stories that speak to the human condition, mental illness, and the consequences of war. His current projects include Tomb, a
The tomb.
harrowing story about two Palestinian children trapped beneath the rubble of their war-torn home, and his debut feature film is Shairee, which follows a poet spiraling into mental illness as he wrestles with trauma, family, and the weight of his late mother's dying wish. So, with a commitment to telling stories that explore the depths of human emotion and resilience, Usman is an exciting and visionary force in the world of independent cinema. Welcome,
Thank
Usman.
you. I know it's good to be on, and thank you for the opportunity. It's always good just to kind of talk with other creatives.
Yeah, absolute honor. Yeah. So it'd be great for you to share your journey with us. So, in terms of any
Sure.
early influences and, what led you to pursue your career.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to backtrack. I'm a first generation Pakistani American Muslim. I grew up in the Midwest, and I came here, my father came here with very little, and he applied for a PhD scholarship and just took all of us, me and my sister and my parents, and came and worked tirelessly and got his PhD and became a great scientist and really worked the American dream. So he was really all about education, and I kind of took the creative path. And that kind of was stemmed. When I was in high school, like I spent some formative years in Pakistan, and my sister was in med school, and it's very intense because right after high school, you're thrown into like these insane, like there's just so much to do. And as a break, what she would do is she would watch film, like movies, just for like about 2 hours, just to kind of get a mental break from studying physiology and biochemistry. And I remember I think I was a sophomore in high school, and I was just sitting doing my thing, identity crisis, that age, 15. And she ran in and said, "Hey, Usman, you have to watch this movie." And I'm like, "Okay, what movie is it?" She's like, "Good Will Hunting. You just have to watch it." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I watched the movie, and I was just blown away with the
Wow.
performances, with the writing. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote that film as kids, basically. He wrote it in a class in Harvard, and they say that the script went out on a Monday, and 4 days later, their lives were changed. There was a bidding war in Hollywood because the script was so amazing. And the script sold. I mean, it took a couple of years to get made, and then it just, in their mid-20s, they won the Oscar for best screenplay. And even now, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are making great stories. So I think watching that film, I still watch clips, from that movie just to get inspired because I'm really at a nascent level in I don't even say it's a career yet. I'm trying to make it a career. And I just realized the power of film and cinema and writing, how it can shift narratives, how it can change thoughts, and just how it can do great things for humanity. And that's where I just my initial I started as an actor, and I kept getting typecast. I've turned down roles, and I'm like, look, I don't want to play a terrorist. Arabs are great people. I've lived in the Middle East. I don't want to play an Indian cab driver. I've lived in Pakistan. We have amazing people. And the typecasting was so frustrating that I'm like, you know what? I am not going to rely on Hollywood, even though if I get some roles, great. I'm going to write my own stories. And then I started taking screenwriting classes. I started studying film, started networking. And that's where these like couple projects have come up. Mhm.
Nice. Wow, amazing. What a journey. And in terms of your kind of personal evolution in the arts, so have you had much of a cultural kind of heritage of arts, amongst your family?
I was just not so much so, I think I took like a drumming class, but there was never like a push towards the creative arts. It
Mm.
was more towards what's practical, what can pay the bills, what can get you on course, to kind of have a comfortable life. So yeah, not so much in my formative years.
Ah,
I did part of my schooling in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My dad got a job there, and then I went to in Lahore. It was Lahore American School. I did a couple of years there. I would say that's where I kind of got exposed. I had a friend who was a musician, and he kind of exposed me to music. And then that story that I just told you about watching Good Will Hunting was in Pakistan, was when I was in high school, and coming in high school. So
I love that.
if that
Yeah.
answers your question. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, I love that. The fact that, one powerful film just, shapes the rest of your life. I just think that says it all. That is the power of film.
Wonderful. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And so what drew you to the themes of war, mental illness, and family relationships in your films?
I would say I think currently with the current crisis in Gaza, just, I wanted to kind of write something for the children that unfortunately had passed away. And so I wrote that poem, and then after that, my writing partner and mentor and dear friend Darren Nash, we've worked together on a few projects. He wrote this short film, The Tomb, where he just wanted to have the world see the world through the eyes of two young children trapped underneath the rubble, despite what side you're on. And so I had that poem, and then I was like, after I wrote that poem, he presented that to me, and I'm like, wow, this is it's a short film. This needs to be made and needs to be seen by the world. And I just think what's relevant sometimes in the world you're living in will kind of give you like a intuitive idea. So,
Mm.
or at least for this film, I'm producing it, so that's kind of what draw me to it. In terms of mental illness, I when I started writing, I really got into poetry. I had no thing into screenwriting. Screenwriting is very, very more complicated, and just I think um, I studied Arabic literature in college, and I started studying some ancient poetry, and then I got really interested in literature and language. I had no path towards acting or writing, but I realized poetry is a great way to tell stories. So I wanted to write a story about like a poet who's a writer, who's dealing with struggles and mental illness, and that story kind of evolved, Shairee, kind of just looking at how to navigate mental illness while you're married, because he's married to the other main character, who's Fatima, his wife, and he's trying to fulfill his mother's dying wish of finishing her book of poetry. And it's just there's a lot of different themes and struggles, and I just thought I'd explore those. And but also he's a first generation Arab American Muslim in America, so I was kind of navigating the challenges of just different value systems and how he navigates that. But he also deals with mental illness.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to ask about, how you actually integrate poetry into your storytelling.
Mhm. Yeah, I think in this specific one, the character is trying to write the poetry and he's trying to finish a book. So
Yeah.
you have one scene which I have a sample of where he's trying to he's trying to write late at night, and his wife's coming like, "What are you doing?" But he has this obsession. He starts hallucinating then, and you see this gradual thing where he needs to get on meds. Um, so his goal of the film is to finish. He has a reason why he needs to finish the book for his mother, because the mother was killed by the father, who was abusive. So he kind of holds that guilt as a young child. So he feels that if he does that book for the mother, then he'll kind of alleviate his inner guilt.
Mm.
However, the wife wants to have children, and he goes on medication, so he has to decide. He's like, either I don't hallucinate and write my book, or I fix my marriage, because their marriage is on the rocks. So that's this big tension he has in his mind in the
Yeah.
course of the film. So, and then she wants to really have kids because they lost a child.
Mm.
So it's this interesting tension. How do you make that? That's a very difficult choice. Do I
Yeah.
honor my mother, or do I save
Mm.
my marriage,
That's
which has
true.
been on the rocks? So that's kind of like the journey of Shirey.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. And a lot of this, is it just based on kind of your own creativity? Because a lot of stories, like I'm talking about mine in particular, that I'm currently producing as well, is based on, true story. It's actually based on my story. So,
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. This one, I remember me and again, I co-wrote this with my dear friend Darren.
mm,
I don't, and we've worked, we did theater together. And then in terms of writing, I don't recall, but the idea kind of came, can we write a story about a poet. And then we also want to turn it more into like me growing up as a first generation Pakistani American Muslim. Can I kind of incorporate that into it? Because there was a first draft where there are certain elements that weren't there. And then I'm like, hey, what if we kind of shifted and make it kind of like, the experiences I've been through as a immigrant. So we kind of infused that into the screenplay. And that's kind of where it came from. So like in terms of mental health, I mean, we've all had our challenges. I've had days when I'm down and whatnot. I don't think that's so much based on Shairee. I think the poetic element is kind of based on me loving poetry, but it's also just kind of making, decisions, very,
Yeah.
very tough decisions in life.
Which is what we all have to go through on a daily basis. So I think it does reflect everyday living. And also because that was obviously your Shiree movie, but going back to the Tomb movie as well, I just want to know, because I know that you're very you're very passionate and you care a lot about what's happening in Palestine at the moment. And so what do you think are the challenges of actually telling a story about the Palestinian children in the midst of a war?
Midst of a war. Yeah, I mean, I just think because there's such, and there's, I want peace on both sides. I condemn the killing of innocent civilians, any type of violence. I make that very clear is my position. But at the same time, there's been 75 years of oppression and injustice. October 7th didn't happen out of a vacuum, although I condemn the actions that happened on that day, absolutely, 100%. I don't, innocent civilians on any side, I condemn. But we need to study the history. 75 years, it didn't happen out of a vacuum. So the response from Israel of 40,000 people dying is just not proportionate. And I'm talking to you right now. I have a Macintosh, I have the iPhone, and I'm paying taxes. I just did my taxes, That's getting funneled into $5 billion that's going into those bombs. So that, people, so it's also like, because I consider myself Pakistani and American. So my tax dollars are going towards that, towards the destruction of 40,000 people. And I think it really hit me home when a good friend of mine posted on Facebook. He said, I just want to announce that 2 families from either side, the children, the parents, were just relaxing in their building and they just died instantly. And he posted on Facebook. He's a friend of mine. 7 children. And I'm just like, wait, why is that needed to end this war? Like, why children?
Exactly.
13,000 children? Hind Rajab, all the, I'm like, why? So that's why I wrote this poem about just, and this was just dedicated to all the children. I believe in the, in the health ministry right now, there's all these names of people that have died, and there's so many zeros because these are children under the age of 1, newborns. So my, this poem that if it's okay, I'd like to read is it's called This Is For. And it's basically, I can't even say all the names. So for Hind Rajab, for Muhammad, who was a child, it's all the children, all the innocent civilians, and everyone that has been hit with just immense pain in the last 75 years. This poem is for them. And this is me. This is all I can do because I'm sitting in Southern California, like, near the ocean. I can't do anything. So I thought my words could. So if you don't, I'm going to read this. Beneath the weight of injustice, my soul's feather sinks deeper than hell, while my heart's boulder soars lighter than heaven, as the caustic keys of confusion remain shackled within my mind. Amongst the swaying olives and glistening stones, stand my people in unity's fold. Your blood and oceans overflow, bespeak the pain untold, as the relentless reign of tyranny shall cease to unfold. Amidst the valleys where truth and justice blend, the weeping mountain mourns its timeless tale to send. Amidst kindred karma's humble sprawl, a billion shoulders rise, your platform, a call. Climb aboard, take flight. Angels, though vanished from sight, your essence lingers in fragrant plight as roses blush and weep in modesty's fright. The narrow gaze of eternal time, the breach into oblivion unfolds, where your dwelling stands in lush gardens and milk rivers that flow. Take a sip and let your thirst meet its soothing abode. With tongues sharpened as swords, we will carve the intellects of indifference, sing songs of deliverance, and scream slogans of repentance. Let your lions roar, reverberate through time, a proud melody that stills eternity's chime. In our shared chorus, we shall scream your pain through every sunrise and each tender rain until the final breath, until life's last bow. We stand by your side, this we avow.
Amazing. Wow, that's
Yeah.
powerful.
So
I
this is
think.
just for all the children, and it's just, I just pray for a ceasefire. I think if all the heads can come back and just do a ceasefire and pause, just for the children. That's all I'm asking, just ask for a ceasefire. So
Yeah, it's
um,
it's really sad actually. And I salute you for raising the awareness about that because
yeah, and I remember when the war started, I was getting messages from actors. Like this one actor's messaged me and said, "Hey, I would kind of chill out on posting about Palestine. My agent just dropped me." And I'm like,
oh,
I'll
no.
go, Hollywood can cancel me. I don't care. I mean, the people are dying. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna use my voice as a writer to speak out against the injustice against my brothers and sisters in Palestine, hence the kifia, so my one of the actors that's helping me, Imad Ali, just salute to him. He's from Palestine, he's from the West Bank, so his family, they're okay, and his
Mm,
prayers to him and his wife and his family. So he's very close to me, and we've done a few films together. You'll see it in my bio, some of the shorts we did.
mm,
So it's just heartbreaking, you just have to. Some of the protests I went to, they would say, just look at your own mental health as well, because there's so much that you can take.
mm.
So I'm just praying every single day
Bless
for a
you.
ceasefire.
Exactly. And, hopefully through these movies, you can then, shed more light on the matter. And so, talking about once the movies are published and
Yeah.
distributed. So what would you like viewers to be, what would you like them to actually take away from both of the movies?
Yeah, I think from the first, from at least the Tomb, again, it's again, like I'm a producer, and so I can't really speak so much on behalf of the writer, but my understanding is he just wanted people, despite what's happening above the rubble,
Mm,
despite whether you're Jew, Muslim, Hindu, atheist, secular humanist, Jainist, let's take all those, let's just put a pause on that, and let's just become human beings. We all bleed red, and just experience what it's like for two children. So I want people to just kind of experience that. And I feel that hopefully the war ends, but if the war hasn't ended, that will just kind of inspire people to kind of call for a ceasefire. That, wow, that's what we have allowed as humanity, that two children are going through this. So I think that's what I would want, that would just kind of help people kind of see what's going on,
yeah.
Gaza underneath the rubble. Mhm.
Mm. So that's for the tomb. And how about for Shiree?
Shari's interesting because Shari, I think so here's the thing. I think because unfortunately, South Asians, Arabs, Muslims have kind of been typecasted, and there's a certain, there's not that many Muslim stories. I mean, how many can you tell? Like if you look at last year's slate of films that won, how many of those were Arab or Pakistani or Muslim stories? I can't think of any.
No.
Can you think of any Oscar winning or just, whoa, that movie just, so it was my, although I'm open to telling all types of stories, I kind of want to just tell the experience of a Muslim American, struggling.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wanted to kind of help rewrite the narrative for Muslims and Pakistanis and Arabs and South Asians in Hollywood. That was kind of what I wanted to do. I thought that could be a good stepping stone. And
Mm.
by the way, if there's any producers out there, we're trying to raise, or venture capitalists, I got to do some marketing, so get in touch. Now that's our biggest challenge, is it's very difficult to raise money. So that's kind of like my challenge right now. We have a business plan. We have the script, I think, is very strong. It's been doing well in this, we submitted to some screenwriting festivals. So the
Nice.
script, I really believe in the script.
Excellent.
Now it's just about, can we raise enough money to actually get it produced,
Yeah.
distributed?
Mm.
We want to get into the big film festivals. We want to do an online release. You can get so many eyeballs if you can do a campaign for YouTube,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
So people around the world, you know, if we, you're more than invited, Anu, you and your family,
Yeah.
to come to Los Angeles, but that's limiting, right? So if we get into a good festival in Los Angeles, or you have a, you know, Austin Film Festival, South by Southwest, great. However, how do people in England see it? How do people in Pakistan see it? So we definitely are looking at a digital release, a free digital release through YouTube, maybe. We don't know yet. We're just crunching numbers, but
Yeah.
sorry, I tend to, you know,
No, that's good. Yeah, thank you.
I
Yeah.
used to, I'm an avid cricket fan. You know, I played cricket growing up, so I just did a full round of the ground. So I'm trying to like be very laconic and succinct and just go take one run. So please reel me back in. I know we don't have that much time. So
Oh, yeah, no, wow, yeah, we're basically final question. It's literally now. What's
Hmm.
next for you?
Next for me is the hopefully just producing these two films.
Mhm.
Once those are produced, then I have a few more screenplays that are written. So I'll see
Nice.
where the creative muse takes me. But I would say right now, this is even because these films aren't produced yet. So I would say right now, this is immediate for me, you know, is to get the Tomb produced and then the feature film. The Tomb is going to be a little bit more easier because we don't have to raise as much money. So
Mhm. Yeah.
hmm,
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Because you mentioned about the challenges at the moment, and yeah, I've heard that there's a lot of challenge in Hollywood and America, you know, on the back
yeah.
end of everything that's been happening. So, I mean, have you not considered international, so the EU or yeah?
Yeah, I mean, if I can make some contacts, I mean, I don't have uh the last film we did was a short film. It was like a heist type. And we had a contributor from England, and we became friends.
Mm,
He just wrote his horror film. He's a very funny chap. And we became friends, just seeing that's the beauty of social media. So,
mm,
you know what? Let me look into that. I'm not too well versed on how to reach out to producers or investors
yeah,
overseas,
yeah.
but thank you for that. I will consider that.
No problem. Yeah, thank you. It's been an absolute honor having you on. Thank you so much for sharing, you know, your journey and your projects. And, you know, I wish you all the luck in getting them produced and out and, you know, in front of people because, like you said, I feel like there's some really important topics that really need to be, the stories need to be told. So yeah,
Absolutely. And thank you and keep doing what you're doing.
thank you.
I think you have a
Mm,
great thing with that and it's a need. And
thank
thank
you.
you for the victim, you know, your podcast and what you're doing. So just sending good vibes to you as well across the Atlantic to
Thank
England.
you. Yeah. Oh, perfect. That's great. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. And oh, so where can my listeners catch you?
Sure. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the main two at filmmaker underscore Usman, USMAN, filmmaker underscore Usman. And I'm doing a relaunch with my social media, but that's kind of connected to Facebook and on YouTube we're Clear Enigma Films. So we have a bunch of comedies, short films on that. So we're on YouTube and we're on all those channels. So mhm.
Nice, excellent. Yeah, I'll be putting the links into this podcast episode as well. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. And I shall see you in the next show.
Thank
Bye.
you.